On December 4th, 2009, Picayune Main Street, under the direction of Miss Reba Beebe, hosted the dedication of the new Lower Pearl River Valley Transportation Museum. Main Street is an organization dedicated to preserving the historic character and integrity of the downtown commercial and residential district and enhancing the culture and quality of life in Picayune. While citizens of Pearl River County and beyond previewed the museum prior to the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the Greater Picayune Arts Council held their annual Artworks Open House in a room just around the corner from the new museum. Here, visitors could take part in silent art auction, as well as view member artworks on display, sign up for membership in GPAC, and share information and ideas with other area artists on painting, pottery, design, music, dance, and theater arts. There was also a very interesting display on the literary arts and local history and culture. The highlight of the evening, of course, was the official opening of the new Lower Pearl River Valley Railroad Transportation Museum, which is appropriately housed in Picayune's new Intermodal Transportation Center, better known by the locals as simply the train station. After a reading by Pastor Filkins, the singing of the national anthem, and remarks by Mayor Ed Pinero, Mr. Gary Herring of the Pearl River Valley Railroad Association, who was instrumental in guiding the project from dream to reality, shared a few thoughts with the visitors.
This was just an idea of a group of small guys who get together by the railroad tracks, and we call ourselves loosely the Pearl River Valley Railroad Association. We have a love of history, a love of transportation, railroads obviously, and even though we're really small, we had an idea, ran with it. I dreamed a lot of this stuff up. Rick Cagle, my #1 right-hand man, builds a lot of the stuff and makes it happen. So he's Bob build it and do it. And the Dufio triplets, I don't know if anybody knows, but if you got one guy and you can split them into three, you can really get something done. And these three guys have just, you can't tell them apart. So we call them Brian, Brian, and Brian. And they just, Rick directs them and they go and do it. So they are the builders, the mounters. So when you see all this tool work and stuff in here, these are the guys who did it. And we went with this idea to Miss Lynn Gamble Crosby and said, with the PRV, would you mind if we took a few of these rusted tools and things like that? And we didn't know her love of history, but we found out quickly that she was willing to let us take it, and we got the stuff, ran with it. We feel like there's more in the community. Feel free to come forward if you'd like to donate something, and we would love to have it and show it off and educate the young folks on how people got around, how people work, and what was life like in the last 200 years around here.
Longtime Picayune resident and museum benefactor Mrs. Lynn Crosby Gamble did the honors of cutting the red ribbon officially opening the new museum.
Now I know what some of those tools were used for.
As the museum officially opened, longtime railroad employee Andrew Cook from Lacombe, Louisiana, reminisced about his years working with the rail system.
Yeah, I started with the railroad in 1965, New Orleans Coast Belt Railroad, and as an apprentice boy, making $2.78 an hour, you know, and stood there for 10 years at New Orleans Coast Belt, and became a car inspector, you know, repairing railroad boxcars and tank cars, and then moved on into Amtrak, you know, after 10 years, and became a mechanical supervisor with Amtrak for 15 years, and had a great career. There's a really nice display here of all artifacts from yesterday years and things like that. It brings back a lot of memories, you know, looking at the oil boxes for and the waste things, and just different things, different tools that we used back in them days. I was one of the people that went in, when I came into Amtrak, we started in the steam. I came in the steam generation, and I had some great teachers to teach me about steam, and then we went from steam to a circuit board, you know, and so I was in the transition period. It was a great period, a great time to railroad too, a bunch of fine guys. Back when I started, it was iron men and wooden wheels, and then it changed to iron wheels and wooden men, you know, yeah.
Local Picayune historian David Stockstill was also on hand to share some interesting information about Picayune street names and their railroad connections.
The plaque gives us some very fine evidence of how Picayune got its name. Mr. Simmons went up into Hattiesburg area, which was called Gordon's Creek at that time, and Twin Forks as well, and met with Captain Hardy when he was surveying for the railroad. The railroad was chartered in 1868. He went up in 1870, and he agreed to give them land here if they'd bring the main line through Picayune. And they agreed that they would keep the name Picayune, and also if they would name the first 4 streets paralleling the main line of the railroad after their officers. And if you'll look, their officers are Harvey. That's the street right in front of the train station here. Curran is 1 block over. Flanagan had changed places with Steele by this time, and Hall. And they're the men who the streets were named after.
While everyone had an opportunity to explore the museum's artifacts, local talent sang and played songs of the season for the enjoyment of all. Judging from the great turnout and enthusiastic reaction, the Lower Pearl River Valley Transportation Museum will provide future generations with a sense of history and education in the way our early residents traveled and worked in and around Picayune for years to come.